Isla Montgomery had always been fascinated by antiques, particularly those with a dark history. When she inherited Blackwood Manor from a distant relative she had never met, she saw it as an opportunity to uncover its secrets. Nestled deep in the fog-laden forests of New England, the manor had been abandoned for decades. Rumors spoke of strange happenings, eerie whispers, and dolls that moved when no one was looking. As Isla approached the towering estate, the iron gates creaked open on their own. The gravel path leading to the house was overgrown with ivy, and the once pristine Victorian structure loomed ominously against the twilight sky. With a deep breath, she stepped inside, the grand foyer greeting her with dust-laden chandeliers and walls lined with portraits of long-dead ancestors. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and decay. Something about the house felt aware. And then she saw them. Dozens of porcelain dolls neatly arranged on antique shelves, their glassy eyes following her every move. That first night, Isla barely slept. The floorboards groaned under the weight of unseen footsteps, and the whispering began. Soft, unintelligible murmurs filled the darkness, drifting from the parlor where the dolls sat. She dismissed it as her imagination, but when she entered the parlor the next morning, the dolls were no longer in their original positions. Determined to understand the house's past, Isla visited the town's archives. The librarian, an elderly woman named Edith, paled at the mention of Blackwood Manor. "You should leave," Edith warned. "That house has claimed lives. The dolls, they were gifts for the Blackwood children, but none of them survived. Each child died mysteriously, and their dolls began to whisper. Some say their souls were trapped inside." A chill crawled up Isla's spine. The whispers, were they trying to communicate? One door in the manor remained locked, its key lost to time. The whispers grew louder near it, insistent, desperate. With the help of an old skeleton key she found in the attic, she turned the lock. The door creaked open to reveal a nursery frozen in time. Dolls lay scattered across the floor, their painted lips twisted into eerie smiles. A small wooden rocking chair swayed on its own, and then she heard it, clear as day. "Help us." Night after night, Isla experienced visions of the past. Children in Victorian attire played in the garden, their laughter abruptly turning to screams. A shadowy figure loomed over them, and one by one, they vanished. The dolls had been their only remains. She discovered a journal belonging to Margaret Blackwood, the last mistress of the house. It detailed a sinister pact made with an unknown entity, one that required a sacrifice. The dolls must be given new souls, or the darkness will claim us all. As days passed, Isla's grip on reality began to fray. She would find herself waking up in different rooms, her hands covered in dust as if she had been searching for something in her sleep. The dolls' whispers grew louder, forming coherent sentences, calling her name. They whispered secrets of the house, revealing horrors that had been hidden for centuries. One night, she awoke to find a doll sitting on her chest, its porcelain face inches from hers. Its tiny lips moved, forming words she couldn't comprehend. She screamed, throwing it across the room, but when she looked back at her bed, the doll was right where it had been before. The next morning, she decided to leave the house, but the front door wouldn't open. No matter how hard she pulled, it remained locked. The windows, too, were sealed shut. Isla was trapped. The house wanted something from her. It whispered through the dolls, urging her to complete the ritual. Desperate, she returned to the nursery, where the dolls now sat in a perfect circle. The air around them pulsed with an unnatural energy. A voice, deeper than any whisper she had heard before, echoed through the room. "Finish what was started." Terrified yet unable to resist, Isla found herself compelled to pick up a needle and thread resting on an old wooden table. Her hands moved on their own, stitching something unseen into the fabric of a small, headless doll. Each stitch sent shockwaves through her body, making her head spin. The more she sewed, the more she could feel her own soul slipping away. It dawned on her, she wasn't just repairing the doll, she was becoming it. Summoning every ounce of willpower, Isla broke free from the trance, hurling the doll into the fireplace. A deafening shriek erupted from the walls, and the house began to tremble. One by one, the dolls turned their heads toward her, their eyes filled with rage. She sprinted toward the front door, and this time, it gave way. The moment she stepped outside, the entire manor groaned as if exhaling its last breath. The windows shattered, and a piercing wail filled the air. The dolls inside screamed in unison as flames consumed them. Isla ran until she reached the town, collapsing on the steps of the library. When she turned back, Blackwood Manor was no longer visible, swallowed by the fog. Weeks later, Isla settled into a new home, convinced she had left the horrors behind. But one night, as she unpacked an old suitcase, she froze. Sitting atop her clothes was a porcelain doll. Its lips parted. "Missed me?" The whispers returned that night, creeping into her dreams. Shadows slithered across her walls, and she could feel the house watching her. The doll moved whenever she looked away, appearing in different corners of her bedroom. No matter how far she ran, the dolls would always find her. The curse was never meant to be broken. It was meant to be passed on.